1st of November, around 8 in the morning.
Yes.
At 9:04, the same morning, the Chief of Staff, on the same date, the Chief of Staff sent this complaint directly to the Office of the National Commissioner. The recipients, the Sibula FM Major General and Letogo GH Brigadier, they are both administrators at the Office of the National Commissioner. So this just to show the sequence that the Chief of Staff received it within an hour on receipt of the email. He already directed this complaint to the Office of the National Commissioner.
I'm looking, sorry to interrupt you, General. I'm looking at the email of 8:25 on the 1st of November 2024. It says in paragraph 2, I was told that the dockets were intercepted. This comes after the dockets have been itemized. And then it refers to another set of dockets. And then it says that the same modus operandi was followed. I'm just trying to place myself, in the place of the recipient of this email. I would have gone back to the sender and said, what on earth are you talking about? To just say, I have learned that the dockets have been intercepted, and then you refer to another set of dockets and you say the same thing was done. What exactly was the interception, by whom, at what point, and when you say the same was done, what exactly is the same? I would, if I was the recipient, I would have gone back to the sender and said, what on earth are you talking about? And ask for some specificity instead of then forwarding this to someone else to respond or to make a follow-up. Looking at this, I'm totally lost as to what Mr. Adams was talking about, or MP Adams was talking about. Do you want to comment on that?
Exactly, Commissioners. It is part of what we uncover as we investigate. All these strange things that are happening, that takes us to us reaching the conclusion. That is part of a bigger plan of things. So these are puzzles that we are trying to put together as we're investigating. Because on the same page, Commissioner 283, you have both emails that are reflected there. The one at the bottom come from Mr. Adams, and look specifically at the time. It is 8:21:01 in the morning of the 1st of November 2024. It is directed specifically to the minister himself, not to Ngabinde, this one. The one I referred to earlier was directed to Ngabinde. This one is strictly to Edward Senzo Mkhwanazi, his email address, the minister directly. I said earlier there were other emails that followed thereafter to Ngabinde, but this one was specific. It went straight to the minister at 8:21 in the morning. On the same date, on the 1st of November, a couple of minutes later, less than an hour, the Chief of Staff at 9:04 in the morning, the Chief of Staff forwarded this complaint to the National Commissioner's office. So I would have expected the very same minister to ask those questions, Commissioner. And because the logic tells you, you open a case the day before and you're complaining today in the morning. So it means overnight there was an interception in your conclusion. I don't think it's a fair process, conclusion that Mr. Adams will have reached. But nonetheless, the minister did not ask Mr. Adams a question, neither the Chief of Staff. But what's interesting here, Commissioners, is that this email from the Chief of Staff to the National Commissioner's office reads, and I want to quote it on record. Good morning, Major General Sebola. As I said, Sebola is at the office of the National Commissioner. But the Chief of Staff says, the ministry has received this complaint from the Member of Parliament. In order for the ministry to respond accordingly, please finish this office with a report in responding to this complaint and the details of the investigating officer who was assigned to investigate these cases. Your report is expected on Monday, the 4th of November at 1500 hours. So this is the timelines that are given by the Chief of Staff, who says the ministry. I'd like to believe perhaps the Chief of Staff will have received directive from his boss, which is a minister in this regard. But then we come back into what we're talking about, then becomes strange that after the 4th of November, timeline has been met by inspectorate, although the minister received it on the 5th. The very same Chief of Staff then writes a letter under the minister's signature, heading ministry, cover letter, and he sends this thing to IDEC.
Now, you referenced the report from the inspectorate dated the 4th of November, and we understand from that report that a request for an extension was, there was a request for an extension, correct?
That's correct.
And then you say the Chief of Staff directed a request for investigation to IDEC on the 8th of November.
The 11th.
On the 11th of November, I apologize. If I could refer you to Annexure MK15, it's part of that pack. I see there at page 289 a further report, and this is dated the 20th of November 2024. It's signed by General Jacobs PA on his behalf. Do you see that?
Yes, Commissioners.
I would like you to, it would appear that this report is in response to the complaint originally received, specifically regarding the Cape Town files and the Orlando files. That's captured at 2.1.1 and 2.1.2. And 2.2, they deal with the inspectorate deals with the instruction received from the National Commissioner. I would like you to have regard and read into the record the conclusion drawn at 2.2.1.
The 2.2.1 of the information note,
yes,
that is annexed on 289.
That's correct.
2.2.1, you said?
2.2.1.
Yeah, a report was compiled wherein the allegations that there was interference from both the provincial offices were reported to be unfounded.
And this was in relation to the question the chairperson posed to you about what interference was being referenced. And am I reading the document correctly that General Jacobs, by the 20th of November, had concluded that the allegation of interference was unfounded?
That's correct.
Now, just to close on that, if I refer you to, in the same document, to page 290, it's item 3.3, if you could read that into the...
As part of the protocols to address service complaints, an affidavit is obtained from the complainant. Colonel Phillips of this office was tasked to obtain the affidavit. However, after numerous attempts, it seems as if the complainant is evading the request. Please find Colonel Phillips' affidavit as proof hereof.
Now, am I correct in understanding that the conclusion is in part based on the fact that the inspectorate could not obtain an affidavit as required from the complainant to substantiate the claim?
That is correct.
At paragraph 180, you have dealt with this letter already, that the Chief of Staff refers the same complaint to IDEC. Do you know the status of that complaint within IDEC as we speak?
I'm not privy to the status of the complaint since the dockets were taken to IDEC. Okay. They operate outside the police.
And there, as far as you know, there have been no engagements Do you know whether or not there have been any engagements with the police from the affected police stations, which is Cape Town and Orlando, in respect of these case numbers?
What I am privy to, Commissioners, is that Gerald Jacobs' office, after receiving this docket as part of the investigation, they were approached by IDEC requesting that they hand over those case dockets of Gauteng in the main, and Gerald Jacobs refused to hand over the dockets. And they then, IDEC wrote to a head of crime detection in the police, it is Lieutenant General Sentumoli. They wrote to her requesting the dockets. And she then contacted Gerald Jacobs and asked Gerald Jacobs to release the dockets to IDEC. IDEC is led by an individual, and it is an entity of the NPA as a prosecution. The inspectorate, the detective services, is led by individuals, which is part of the South African Police Service as a department which is led by the National Commission. But the correspondence from the NPA to the police does not include the people in charge of the two entities. It includes the head of IDEC and the head of investigation. So the correspondence between the two and the authority is granted by the police detectives and instructing inspectorate to release the docket, and then dockets were then taken by IDEC. To date, those dockets are sitting with IDEC.
I see in your state.
I'm just surprised that there would have been this much effort, this much laborious activity, all of it stemming from a non-complaint by Adams MP. I mean, with that one-liner in respect of the one category of dockets, and then another one-liner in respect of the second category of dockets, and then there's this much activity and effort. In fact, it just does not make sense that the Inspectorate of Subs should have been required to even give a report. Of course, I'm just expressing a view based purely on the fact that what initiated all of this was a non-complaint. It's totally not substantiated. So what the Chief of Staff, or what he refers to as the ministry, what they should have done was to go back to Adams MP and ask for specificity before all of this laborious activity was then engaged in. Do you want to comment on that, General?
Commissioner, my comment might be to some degree perhaps being biased, because I'm the one that is combing through all what is happening. Perhaps I must indicate to the Commissioner that what led us to able to comb through all this what has transpired is in two phases. One is information I get through my sources within IDEC that there is activities that are happening with IDEC that are not in line with what the purpose of the formation of the entity is. And that there are two structures within IDEC. There's a good structure that deals with the Zondo Commission, and there's another structure that is malicious, that is used as a weapon to further disrupt the criminal justice system operations. So I get that through my sources within IDEC. That's on one. That's how I was able to get this letter. It's not a letter that was given to me on request from the Chief of Staff. No, I got it through the sources. And the Chief of Staff cannot deny it, or the Minister cannot deny it, because got his signature is a legitimate letter. IDEC has that because they call for the docket informed by this letter, so they can't deny the letter. It's a picture that we started picking up. That is on one side through the information. But secondly, Commissioner, when we see the disruption of the investigation of the Gauteng counterintelligence operations, we then begin to ask ourselves why this is happening. What is much talked about in the media that is not known is the arrest of Gerald Khumalo. So we have this arrest. When this arrest happens, it literally means this project must stop. This investigation of this organized crime must stop immediately because the people are arrested. We start investigating out. Sorry.
I hope I've not muted. I hope I've not muted.
No, I didn't.
Just, can we still hear the general, all of us?
Yeah, I can hear
at the back there. Okay. Before you continue, General, I just want to say that, of course, it's early days, and my comment about a non-complaint should not be taken as final. I do not know whether the Chief of Staff of the Minister will be called as a witness, nor do I know whether Adams MP will be called as a witness. Maybe the MP will be able to explain why his complaint was indeed a complaint. And also the Chief of Staff may be able to explain why he considered what I've referred to as a non-complaint to be a complaint. So it is early days, but as presently advised, I just see it as a non-complaint. So until and unless it does get explained, to me it looks like a non-complaint at this stage. My co-commissioner wants to say something.
Sure, thank you. Ms. Silla, maybe I should have asked this some steps back.
Yes.
Just to clarify my confusion. The complaint we are talking about, I just want to make sure we're not speaking at cross purposes. There is a complaint by, as I understand it, there's a complaint by MP Adams, which is about dockets being intercepted.
Yes.
But there's also the substantive complaint, the allegations that he's making about the use of the funds of the task team, about the employment, nepotism, and, right? So there are those two different things. So were we speaking...
Except if I may make a correction, I don't, it's...
Yes.
No, maybe I may not interject.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep in mind, it's me seeking
Yes,
to
I
ensure
appreciate
that
that.
we're having the same conversation
Yes.
when we say that complaint. Which complaint are we all agreed or clear which complaint we're talking about?
Indeed.
So this letter from the Chief of Staff, it lists case numbers, right?
Yes.
This is what is referred to. It says in paragraph 2, the allegations contained therein implicate very senior members of the South African Police Service and are viewed in a serious light. And case dockets were registered as per the following case numbers, and it gives case numbers. Now, it is, as I understand it, after those case numbers, in fact, as it reads, after those case numbers, it says, due to the nature of the allegations made by Honorable Fadil Adams, which is deemed to be quite sensitive and which contains allegations of criminal conduct, misconduct. This office requests the ID, the investigating director, to consider investigating the same. Now, my reading of this, it seems, is what is being referred to IDEC is what is contained in those case numbers, not the lifting, not the interception of dockets. I don't know if you understand the distinction
I understand.
I'm drawing.
I fully understand.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear that when we say that complaint, what happened to that complaint? Or which complaint are we talking about?
Okay.
Thank you.
Perhaps I'll try, based on what the General explained. And perhaps the logical place to start is with the letter of the Chief of Staff, because that letter at page 310.
Perhaps because it's what, ame a minute or even half a minute.
Okay. It's going to take more than a
to
minute.
lunchtime. It is actually 1 o'clock now. Perhaps let's take the lunch adjournment now, resume at 2 o'clock, and then you may respond to my co-commissioner.
Can I suggest, Ms. Silo, what you may want to do during the...
Please, not yet, please.
May I suggest, Ms. Silo, that perhaps during the break, you may want to look at this and get the witness to clarify his evidence on this issue.
We are ready to clarify. I had understood the witness to clarify, and I intend to deal with it with reference to the documents.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So that you want to get someone there. Advocates.